Chapter 28. Fatal Exception. Day 66. System halted. The discovery was not dramatic. There were no sirens, no shouting, no SWAT team breaching the doors. There was simply a change in the airflow. A server technician named Kevin, clutching a lukewarm Dunkin' Donuts coffee, walked down aisle 400 to investigate a temperature spike in rack 404. He found the source of the heat anomaly curled on the anti-static tiles. Kevin didn't know who Arthur Vane was. He just saw a man in a trash bag poncho who looked like he had been dead for 3 days. Kevin dropped his coffee. Splash. The sound registered in Arthur's brain as a distant, underwater thud. "Jesus Christ," Kevin whispered. He tapped his earpiece. "Control, we have a situation in Sector 4. Man down. I think he's ODing." Arthur heard the words, but they didn't decode. They were just raw audio data. 010101. He tried to say, "I am not ODing, I am defragmenting," but his tongue was a heavy, useless slug in his mouth. Darkness took him again. T+4 hours. Consciousness returned in fragments. Packet loss was high. Fragment 1. The feeling of a plastic tube being yanked out of his throat. A gagging reflex that tore his chest apart. Fragment 2. A voice, loud and angry. Narcan didn't work. It's not just opioids. What did he take? Check the tox screen. Fragment 3. The smell of charcoal and antiseptic. Fragment 4. Restraints. Arthur opened his eyes. He was staring at a drop ceiling tile with a water stain that looked exactly like the one in his old basement apartment. For a second, he thought he was back there. He thought the last 2 months, the promotion, Elena, the glass office, the drugs, had just been a fever dream. Then he tried to move his hand to check his phone. Clink. Leather straps held his wrist to the metal rail of the bed. He pulled. The bed rattled. "He's awake," a nurse said. She didn't sound happy. She sounded exhausted. Arthur turned his head. He was in a room, not an ER bay. A room with reinforced glass windows and no equipment that could be used as a weapon. Psychiatric hold. A doctor walked in. He wasn't the tired resident from Beth Israel. He was older, wearing a suit under his white coat. Dr. Eris. "Mr. Vane," Dr. Eris said. He stood at the foot of the bed, reading a clipboard. "Welcome back to the land of the living." Barely. Arthur licked his lips. They were cracked and dry. "Water," Arthur rasped. "In a minute," Eris said. "First, we need to review the input logs. Your tox screen came back looking like a chemistry experiment. Oxycodone, lorazepam, pregabalin, and enough trace salpeterol to kill a horse." Arthur closed his eyes. "Optimization," he whispered. "Suicide attempt?" Eris asked. "Or just stupidity?" "Efficiency," Arthur said. "I was managing the noise." Eris sighed. He put the clipboard down. "Well, you managed it right into a coma, Arthur. You stopped breathing twice in the ambulance. If that tech hadn't found you, you'd be a cooling problem in the server room permanently." Arthur looked at the restraints. "Why am I tied down?" "Because when you were semi-conscious, you tried to bite a nurse. You were screaming about legacy code and trying to gouge your own eyes out." Arthur felt a cold stone settle in his stomach. He didn't remember that. I want to leave," Arthur said. "AMA. Against medical advice." "Not an option," Eris said calmly. "You're under a 72-hour involuntary hold. You're a danger to yourself. And," he gestured to the door, where 2 uniformed police officers were standing guard, You have some legal issues to sort out once we clear you medically. The police, the cyber attack, the grand larceny, the theft of the laptop. It all came crashing back. The weight of it was crushing. I need my phone, Arthur said. I need to call. Who? He couldn't call Elena. She had blocked him. He couldn't call Miller. He had burned that bridge. He couldn't call Dr. Vance. Dr. Vance was in federal custody. He was alone. There's no one to call, Arthur, Eris said, as if reading his mind. We checked your emergency contacts. Your mother passed away 3 years ago. Your father is unknown. Your employment record says, terminated. You are an island. An island. An isolated node. Arthur started to shake. The withdrawal wasn't over. The hospital had pumped him full of fluids and maybe some phenobarbital to stop the seizures, but the raw, screaming need for the gabapentin was still there, lurking in the marrow of his bones. Please, Arthur whispered. I hurt. I know, Eris said, and it's going to hurt for a while. We're not giving you any more painkillers, Arthur. We're going to let you feel it. We're going to let the noise come back. No, Arthur whimpered. You can't. It's too loud. Then you better learn to listen, Eris said. He turned to leave. Doctor, Arthur called out. Eris stopped. Did I delete it? Arthur asked. The code? Did I delete the repo? Eris looked at him. He didn't understand the question. You didn't delete anything, Arthur. You just crashed. The doctor walked out. The heavy door clicked shut. Arthur pulled against the restraints. He stared at the water stain on the ceiling. It wasn't Norway. It wasn't a map. It was just a stain. The silence of the room was heavy, but inside his head, the static began to rise. A low, grinding roar. He was offline. He was unbuffered. And for the first time in 66 days, Arthur Vane started to cry. Not efficient, silent tears. Ugly, heaving sobs that shook the bed frame and rattled the chains. He cried for the lost glass box. He cried for Elena. He cried for the simple, beautiful logic of the spreadsheet. But mostly, he cried because he knew the doctor was right. The machine hadn't just broken. It had been scrapped.